So Seth, thank you so much once again for being on the podcast. I have some bad news for you. We're going to have to start a business together. Right now, we're going to have to come up with a sort of a business idea together. And it's a bad news because you have to work with me for a bit, and I'm not the best at it. You are. So let me frame that, the challenge I want us to go through together right now. So we are starting a business. We have, let's say, $1,000 to spend, and we have to be profitable in 3 months or less, right? The only thing that I like to set as a condition is that you cannot use your name at all. You have to remain anonymous, so you can't use your audience, right?
Sure.
So let's start right now. Let's say we have to create a business together from scratch. Let's say it's an online business. We have to sell it. We can use the medium of internet to sell it. How would you go about creating a product that people would actually like?
Well, it's a great way to start. Let's understand the first thing, which is we are going to be marketing with people, not at them. And that is a fundamental shift from the way most business people think. They think they should have a factory, it should be up and running, they should figure out what they make, and then they should do something to people to get those people to notice them and to believe that they need what's being sold and then to buy it. And that method made a lot of sense for 100 years because you could pay money for media, and for that money you got people's attention. That was the deal. But what we have to do is begin with the following. We must begin with something that is so on point for the people who we seek to serve that they, once they become aware of it, cannot imagine engaging without it. So that means we can't pick a giant problem because there's no giant problem that can be solved for $1,000. Those have all been taken. We have to think of not the biggest possible market, but the smallest possible market. The smallest possible market that can sustain us, and figure out how to bring that group of people something that they can't imagine being without so that they will tell other people. So the internet is a symptom of this. It's a sidelight of this. It's not an internet company. It's the internet that's being used to spread the word about what we did. So that's how I would begin. Smallest possible audience in a generous way where no one thinks we're interrupting them because they can't believe we have what they need.
Okay. So let's get a little bit specific. Do you have anything in the top of your mind, a challenge that you encountered recently or a problem that you've seen recently that you think is worth solving for a particular small audience?
Well, so if I have 90 days, I'm just making this up as we go here.
Yep.
What happens if I create a PDF document that is the 150 best Airbnb places to stay in Paris?
Okay.
It's going to take me, you're going to do this work actually, it's going to take you a week of real effort to visit places, take pictures, do an analysis, explain which are the smallest, which one. And in this 40-page document, you're going to be able to deliver to people real value about where they should stay when they're in Paris. And we're going to give it away. And we're going to give it away. We're going to make it a Medium post, and we're going to put it in other places so that anybody who searches for where should I stay in Paris is more than not likely to discover it. And even better, when people do discover it, they're going to tell other people they know because it's so beautifully done that this is something that they need.
Okay.
Over the course of the next month, we're going to focus obsessively about earning trust. We want to earn trust with the people who are seeking a place to stay, and we want to earn trust with people who are hoping that people will stay with them. And so we're creating a two-sided equation here where the word gets out that we're the person to ask about where to stay in Paris. We give great free advice, and the word gets out among people who are looking to rent their garage or villa or whatever, that this is someone who can find you the customers that you need. So we're going to spend a whole nother 5 weeks doing that, engaging with 100 to 1,000 people a day, back and forth, for free online until we're the indispensable middleman. And once that occurs, we'll make more than $1,000, maybe even $1,000 a day, because people on either side will come to us and say, I trust you. You've never steered me wrong. Can I give you some money to do X? Take me on a tour. Get me into a place I can't get into. Or come visit my villa and write a review of it honestly so that other people will see it. That middleman position is not currently filled in Paris. It could be filled by someone who has less than $1,000. And 90 days from now, we have an asset, which is people who trust us on both sides. And we will be able to turn that asset into a cash flow over time by serving the people we seek to serve.
So let me break that down. First of all, the first task would be to actually create sort of a PDF. So free content that is actually really valuable and something niche enough for people to be interested in. I'd like to get deeper than what you just said. Not only we should help people to find a great Airbnb in Paris, but I think we should help Americans to find a great Airbnb place in Paris, right?
Right, because I'm an American. I think everyone is an American.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I know you said Paris because you think I'm French, and actually I'm French, which is a great guess from you. Only messing to start to go back to it. I think if we pick the tiniest audience, the one that we are the most uncomfortable with, like we almost fear it's too small, I think it's a great start. So for Americans that might have specific needs, right? Or even we can dig deeper. Are we talking about people from California specifically, right?
Exactly.
So those people might have needs such as high-speed internet. They want to see monuments from the balcony. They want to discover some food that they've seen in San Francisco, but they actually are the real deal in Paris. Maybe I'm just making that up as well. But by niching down that much, we're able to exactly understand their problems. We create this big list that you make me do, and you pay me to do that, which is great. And so we have that, we publish that. Because you're anonymous, we can't use your name. How would we go about promoting it, this first piece of content?
So I wrote a blog post a bunch of years ago called First 10, and it's still one of my most important posts. And what I say is, everyone knows 10 people. And if you don't know 10 people, you have to start over. If you know 10 people, you give this thing to them. If they tell other people, it's good. If they don't tell other people, you need to make something better. And so you don't have to put my name on it, and we only need 10 people. We only need 10 people in this hyper-targeted market. And I'm not sure I'd pick California. Maybe I'd say people with kids between 3 and 7 years old, right? Because they know lots of other people who have kids between 3 and 7 years old. That what we're seeking to do, another one that's very similar is we all know the documentary Jiro Dreams of Sushi that became a sensation, and now the waiting list to get in to have dinner with Jiro is enormous. Well, I could imagine a business that does nothing but act as a concierge for people who want to eat dinner at Jiro's. That's the entire business. That's super targeted. But the fact is, if you know one person who knows Ed Levine at Serious Eats, Ed Levine will write about what you just did because it's so hyper-targeted and aligns with his audience of people. So I picked something that I thought we could do in 90 days, but you know what? It might take 200 days, and that's okay because you can do a bunch of them. My point is, the marketers that are disliked by humans are disliked because they have non-remarkable products that cause them to act like selfish jerks. So if you begin by asserting that you need something that is remarkable to a unique group of people, you're 80% of the way there.
Right. So we create this very good content. I might have to update it a few times until I know that those 10 people I shared it to actually really love it so much that they are willing to share it for free. So those are the first two steps. And then how do we get into this middleman position where people will start to ask us for advice?
Well, so what happens is what we want in a low trust world is someone to trust. And our problem is not piracy. Our problem is obscurity. And the record industry spent way too long fighting piracy. Piracy is awareness. Piracy leads to attention. Attention leads to trust. So if over time you are able to become trusted, then people who want something extra will reach out to you. And they will reach out to you because my pseudonym, right, Jacques Godin, is right there at the bottom with my email address, and I answer all my email. And most of the time, if I can engage with someone for 3 minutes, it's free. But if you want me to get on a plane, or you want me to cross the street, or you want me to do something special for you, then let's agree to charge for it because it's worth it.
All right, so I'm going to call you Jacques for the next few minutes, if that's okay. So Jacques, you will...
Oui.
You will... So what you expect from this piece of content is that it's so valuable, it's so insightful, it's so targeted, it's so good that people will tend to want to contact you to ask you more questions, to dig into the problems a little bit more.
Correct.
And by answering them, by being kind, by being helpful, you hope that they will trust you in return and therefore trust you enough to perhaps pay for something slightly bigger than what they got from the free content.
Yeah, and I just so we can get out of the consumer mindset, I was looking at learning management software the other day. This is like Blackboard, but the next generation that you can run a course on. Turns out there's 40 products in the space, and it's really complicated. If I had a week, I could write a special report about the advantages of each one. If I wrote a report on the advantages of each one with no help from Seth Godin, I, Jacques Godin, would easily be the #1 SEO match for which LMS software should I buy. And once you're in that position, again, the number of companies where it's not their money who would call you up and say, look, my boss wants me to buy one of these. I don't know which one. How much is your consulting fee? Well, I actually charge $1,000 an hour. So that means that after 1 hour's worth of work, I broke even, which is what you said my job was.
You might not be able to charge 1,000 an hour if you're just Jacques Godin, people don't know you.
No, they do know me. They trust me because I wrote the definitive 70-40 pieces of software with I'm just giving people an abundance of confidence by creating an abundance of value, and all I'm asking in return is to be trusted.
Fantastic. Okay, so to summarize, we create a very good piece of content. So good that in return, people start to trust us, contact us. We start to charge for problems that are adjacent to the problem we solve. And should we invest in ads? Let's say we need to scale this business. Let's say that a few people have contacted us, we made some money. What would you do next? Where would you invest the money?
I would invest the money in using the process again and again and again. It would be a really long time before I started running ads. Because the fact is, the pie is this big, and I've touched this many people. So when I go to an advertiser, it's to reach this many people. I don't need to do that yet. What I need to do is give the people who trust me a really good reason to tell their friends. So if you think about how you heard about Facebook or Twitter, you didn't hear about it from advertising. You heard about it from people who benefited if you started using it too, right? So that if you can start creating cycles where it's in their interest, not because you're bribing them, but in their interest to tell other people, they will. So here's an example. So when I published this book, I put it in a milk carton. And only 5,000 people got it at the beginning. And I made no money, zero. I broke even. But if you got this and you read it, you decided that your job would be better if other people you worked with understood what the hell you were talking about. And so people put this on their desk. Because if it's on your desk, someone comes in and says, what's that? And you have a conversation about it. So that's got it. If you didn't say you wanted scale when you gave me the assignment, but if you want scale, you got to pick a solution that works better if my friends are doing it too. And one of my favorite examples is Alcoholics Anonymous. They're not anonymous. In fact, the first rule of Alcoholics Anonymous is tell other people about AA. Because AA will work better if your friends aren't drunks, but if instead they're like you in recovery. That will make it better for you. And so that's how it spread to millions and millions of people.
Well, fantastic. I think that's a great start for the episode. It's going to give a lot of people some ideas on where to start. Just to mention to the listeners who are not necessarily watching the video, you mentioned your book, The Purple Cow.
Oh, I forgot all about the fact that we were only on audio. Yes, my book, Purple Cow, came in a milk carton. And I also want to say, since we're shifting gears, that's the most innovative, energizing way anyone has ever started a podcast with me. Good for you.
Thanks. I'm definitely not going to edit that out. But let's go back a little bit to you.